there guys, and welcome along to another edition of Inside the Arcade. So today I'm going to be showing you how to make your own change machine that's going to go inside your own home arcade. We'll be making all kinds of different videos, including how to make your own coin pushers, how to make claw machines, and one of my personal favourites, how to make the monster ball drop. These will all be coming up very soon, so make sure you whack that subscribe button to make sure that you're in the loop for when the new videos are coming out. And don't forget to like the video if you think it's a good idea. So yes, today we're going to be making a change machine, and you're going to need a few bits. You're going to need an Arduino, a cheap Chinese coin mech, and a motor hopper. Now this can be in the form of the cube hopper here that I've got here that runs on standard pulses. You're going to need an LCD screen. Now this is optional, but I always find it looks so much better when you've got some kind of visual display. You're going to need a spool of wire, or you can go for the jumper pins that come from Amazon, and these are very easy to connect together and to the Arduino. And of course, in order to house all of this, we're going to need a cabinet. Now this is just standard hardboard. This is 80 by 40 centimeters. Okay, so time to get building. What we're going to do first is we're going to measure the width of this wood. We know this is 80 centimeters, so we're just going to cut 4 sides, which is 20 centimeters each. So I'm just going to score where these 20 centimeter areas are. Okay, and now I'm just going to use my right hand angle here to score the wood. Okay, and I'm just going to go over it a few times, make those cuts nice and deep. I would probably recommend using a jigsaw for this. I do use a jigsaw for my other projects, but at the moment it's not quite possible. So we've got our wood now. So I've cut my big piece of wood into 4 20 centimeter pieces of wood, and this is going to stand up into a rectangular cube. Okay, so I've got my 4 pieces of wood here, and I'm going to join them together at 90-degree angles with these right joint with covers, and they're 39 by 20 mils. And I'm going to join these together with just some standard nut and bolts, and these are called M4 times L12. Now obviously I'm going to want to use the shiny side for the outside, and I'm going to put the 2 pieces of wood at a right degree angle there. Once I've got my 90-degree angle there, I'm placing the left hand side on top of the front, and then I'm just going to place the 90-degree joint there, and then I'm going to just leave 2 millimeters at the top, which will give me space to put the top cover on at the end. So now I know that that's going to line up, and just score with a screwdriver where I need to drill. Okay, so I've got just a standard 3mm drill bit there, and I'm just going to drill through the wood. Place our joint back on. You want to try and be as neat as possible. I make so many of these. Then just add your nuts. So once you've added your nuts, just make sure they're nice and tight. Don't over tighten, otherwise you'll end up pulling the screws through the hardboard. Now I'm going to place this piece on here. Make sure it's all lined up. And again, just score on the inside here. Now as you can see with those 2 right angles done there, this is now very rigid. Okay, so we've got our cabinet now, and I'm leaving the back open. I'm not going to attach the back panel for easiness of access for the electronics. As you can see, our coin hopper fits nicely inside. So let's get on with the next step. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is remove the front panel from the Chinese coin mech. like so. And we're not going to need the front part for the moment. And what we're going to do now is just trace around the coin mech once it is sitting flush on the front panel. You may want to remove the panel or the front panel again to make sure that it's correct. You want to make sure that the tracing line that you use is slightly wider than the actual coin mech itself. Obviously you can see I've cut this out now. And then what we're going to do is place the front on here flush, and then we're going to just mark in where the holes are on the front here, and that will give us our holes to drill to attach the front bezel plate to the front. So once you've drilled your holes and cut out the middle part here, just place your front bezel on the front and then grab your long bolts here and just place them through each of the holes. You're going to attach the nuts to the bolts and make sure that they're nice and tight. So once you've done that, now we're going to attach the LCD screen. You don't want to attach your coin mech back up just yet because there is going to be a bit of fiddling around in terms of getting the LCD screen fitted. So what we're going to do is we're going to lay out our coin mech on the left hand side here. We're going to put our display on the right, and up here is where we're going to have the hopper. So we need to keep all this area clear at the top here because we can't have wires going through the change machine where the hopper's going to sit. I mean, we could, but we want as much room as possible for any alterations that we may need. So the LCD screen that I'm going to use is YW Robot Arduino LCM1609. And what you want to use is one that has pre-pinned outputs. So we have a ground, we have a voltage, and we have a signal. And basically this is going to enable us to program the screen easily rather than with the cheaper versions that you can get that you have to actually pin out on specific lines to get each individual LCD area to work. So we're going to chuck this one away, absolute rubbish. And we're going to go for this one. So obviously you want to make sure you got it the right way up. And then with our coin mech, we're going to want to place it next to it like so. And then what we're going to do is we're going to trace around the LCD screen front bezel itself rather than the entire unit because we only want this part of the LCD screen to show. So I'm just going to trace around where I'm going to be cutting. And now I have a section here that I know that I want to cut out. If you do use a knife, obviously just trim down any extras that seem to be hanging on. Okay, so I really would recommend using a jigsaw for that, but for those who don't have a jigsaw, I'm just showing you that it is possible to do it that way. Now what we're going to do is wedge this in. We are going to want a nice tight fit on this one so it doesn't come loose. Okay, so now we have our display nicely installed. So now we're going to want to put in the hopper. And I've also cut out a square here that is going to sit as a shelf for the hopper. So it's going to sit above coin mech and the display and drop the coins down. I've also cut out a hole here which is going to drop the coins through down to the payout chute. So I'm going to reattach the side again. Okay, so once that's like that, we want to measure the height of the hopper, and we can literally just place that in there, and we just want to make sure that it's not going to protrude over the top here, so we want to leave a nice little layer there. And then I'm going to place this in and just make a note of where it is. So for this part, I don't actually want too many screws at the front of the change machine. So what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to glue on these bracing brackets here and then screw on the ones at the side. Now this glue that I'm using here is called No Nonsense, and it's a fast bond adhesive, and it comes with an activator spray, so it's really good for putting your parts in the correct area and then spraying it, and it will set in, and it's almost instant and it is rock solid. It's really good stuff. And now all I need to do is flush these ones up with the 90-degree brackets that we've just placed in, and then we know that it's roughly at about 90 degrees, and then we can place in the other brackets for support at the sides. And as you can see now, we have a pretty solid base. We're going to place a hopper in this area here, and as you can see, it sits really nicely, really snug, and that has got a lot of give. You know, I mean, I'm pushing down quite hard on that, and those brackets are not going anywhere with this no-nonsense glue. So now I've reassembled both sides, and now place in this top unit here. And I've already outlined where I'm going to place the hopper, so I'm just going to line that up there, and I'm just going to drill through where these holes line up. Place one of my bolts from each side as tight as they will go. Now the next thing that we're going to want to do is put in our display unit. So as you can see, that display unit is sitting in there snugly. Now we're going to want to reattach our coin mech. And don't be like me and forget that you'd still need to drill your hole in the front here. Okay, so I've now drilled in the bottom door here. Okay, so I'm going to make some alterations here as I found out. This is going to need just a small adjustment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut down to the bottom here of the hopper. So now we're going to make the chute for the 10-piece to travel down from the hopper. Cut off a bit of wood that is the same length as the exit hole down the bottom. And I'm now going to trim this down so that it meets up with this top edge here of where the hopper bed is. So once you've trimmed that down, just place it into there at the bottom, just so it goes inside the same area as the hole, and hopefully that should line up with your hopper. Then we're going to attach some glue. So you're going to want to cut off a length of wood to go down the side of the chute. Now this is to stop the coins from obviously going over the edge of this slide here. And in order to do that, we're going to cut it down. And the way that we do that is we stick in the edge here and line it up with this downward chute. Now where this part of the hopper bed that we're going to be joining to goes up at this angle. So you're going to be cutting it at the same angle that the hopper bed is laying at. And we are going to follow the line so that it looks like this. Then we're going to want to do the same on the other side. So we're going to create a line here, an angle, which then fits with the bottom front of the change machine so that it sits in nicely like that. And then you're going to want to do exactly the same for the other side. And now what we're going to do is glue that all in place. Okay, so as you can see, the chute is now complete. I'm just going to place a 10 pence down that would eventually come out from the hopper. As you can see, it will not get lost on its travel down. So we do have a little bit of an issue here that we need to address, and that is that there is still an empty void on the side there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a little surround here for when the coins shoot out, they're literally going to be directed down the chute. Okay, so I've created the little catchment part there, and I'm just going to glue that so that it's basically going to catch all the coins that come out from the hopper and send it directly down into the chute. So if we shoot a 10p now, directly out that hole, we know that it's always going to come out from the chute.